Easy E, how are we?
Shawnee, doing good. I'm excited for this. I love an old special.
Now
It's usually
Thursday
usually comes
special.
usually comes with chips and a Coke, but this one's a different one. This one is a different kind of special.
It's right up your alley though. Your kind of special you have in the morning of a marathon with your chicken and rice that you had before doing the big one. But maybe people can't relate to that. But I think on this episode they're gonna relate to at least one person coming up in the podcast today.
Yeah, the beauty of this is we brought together four people from around the country who are taking on Dublin Marathon this year. Some for the first time, some for the seventh, it could be even the sixth time, seventh time.
Mm.
We've lost count of how many times someone have done it, but we have so many people with different backgrounds coming together to share their journey, share their story, to help you feel like, and the listener feel like you've got company over the next 16 weeks. Because even though some of us are doing it again, some people are taking it on maybe even for the 50th time. It's always nice to know there are others out there doing it, and this one is great. It's great to get the ordinary people taking on the marathon's experience again, because sometimes you can forget that. You can forget the privilege of a marathon and what it takes to do it, and it's nice to hear other people's accounts from all different levels and ambition, and it's very exciting when I'm one a project I suppose we're taking on that I'm very excited to be a part of.
Yeah, it's something completely new to us. Like when we hit the record button, this one saw four different faces staring back at us. Like, oh my God, this is, it's interesting. It's something different. And I'm just looking forward to hearing just different stories leading up towards Dublin Marathon this year.
Yep, and if you are taking it on, all the tips and tricks we're giving out to the guy and they're given to us as well. It's something to keep you going. It's more focused because as we move through our guests, we may not talk about a marathon for a little while through the different backgrounds of our guests, but this is kind of to keep an anchor for you that you can look forward to and check in with and measure against and see how you're getting on and maybe pick up a nugget or two as we travel along the way. So it's to help people who are trying alone feel like they're together as part of our own verbal club, but it's great to see and to help people along the way. So it's brilliant. It's well, we of course we're going to say it's brilliant. It's our podcast, Sean, but it is great. It's exciting for us even to be on a different journey ourselves with this Dublin Marathon.
Absolutely. I think with that said, let's keep our voices down and four new voices for you guys. It's this week's episode, this week's special Thursday episode of the Any Given Runday podcast. Let's
Chips
go.
and Coke not included.
So this week on the Any Given Runday podcast, Eric, I've no intro. I've nothing wrote down here for an intro because we've got four different people in front of us now that are starting their marathon, their Dublin Marathon journey along with ourselves. And this is brand new territory for me and you, pal.
Yeah, I'm nervous just looking at them. Uh, 16, 16 weeks of marathon has begun. We have got four people who are on very different journeys towards the Dublin Marathon. A lot of people have said to us, our guests are great, but they're starting to lose interest. No, they're not losing interest, but they are starting to feel like they've nothing in common with them. So we are hoping we have everything in common with the next four people. We may have nothing in common with the next four people, but we're here to meet them. We're here to greet them. We're here to train with them over the next 16 weeks, and that's what we're hoping to do. So, who do we have first in this mystery pile, Sean?
I think we're going to go clockwise around my screen here, which means Connor, you must be the first one logged on. So, Connor, how are you getting on?
Yeah, 100%. It's nice and early to the call. Make sure I look all right in the camera, you know?
100%. Well, full head of hair like myself, so you definitely look better than I do. Connor, what's your background in marathons? Have you done marathon before and have you done Dublin Marathon before?
I've not done Dublin before, but I have done Barcelona there in March. See, I think you guys had a crew going over.
Hold on a
Seen a
minute.
couple of your
Why is
flags
he
up.
here?
Don't annoy
invited
Eric
him?
already.
Who invited him? We had a trip last year. You didn't even come drinking with us.
I must say, my invite must have got lost.
Yeah, my
Connor,
God, this is
what's this about? Did you set up a run club?
Yeah, so I set up one of them coffee run clubs just in my local town called Cup of Cardio. So that's sort
a
of where
cup of cardio.
I
Great
like
name.
that.
cardio, yeah. So yeah, we just do the weekly. We do two runs a week, one midweek, one on the weekend, and yeah, just get everyone out running, get everyone moving.
Where's your run club? Where are you based?
We're based in Drogheda.
Drogheda. Very
Yeah,
good. And what
yeah.
brought you to start a run club? What brought you into running?
Well, I've always sort of ran, you know what I mean? Like I was always into fitness, did the odd 5K when I was younger, but first when I stopped sort of playing the GA and bit of rugby, like it was sort of then getting more into running and the gym, bit of high rocks, all that crack. So yeah, me and two of my mates sort of had the idea to set it up. And when it came to it, it ended up being just me. So still motoring on about a year and a half now, but that's good. It's taken off. So get people out moving, get people running. I'm going to be out running anyway, so they may as well come along with me. So that's the thinking, really.
I gotta ask right off the bat, Connor. High rocks, you mentioned there for a few people, it's like, oh, this fucking thing again. But for most of us, it's like, okay, are you doing high rocks in Dublin in November after doing the marathon?
Yeah, I have a ticket. I have a solid ticket. So.
Connor, cup of cardio. How many people show up to run with you, and when do you run?
So we typically do a Wednesday evening. We run from the pub, one of the pubs across the town.
That's a dangerous start for people like me and Sean, but okay.
It started off dangerous, but I think everyone got the grips to themselves now. Then we do a Saturday morning run from coffee shop, one of the coffee shops around the town. We sort of mix it up, change the routes up, spread the business around the town to all the coffee shops, you know, kind of way. So
Before we move on, Connor. Oh,
yeah.
No, you're going to say something?
Sorry, I was just going to say, yeah, we range from about, you could have 8 people there some morning, 3 if it's pissing rain, we could have 20, 25. So it just vary. It's casual, so we don't be keeping score, but
well,
that's what I tell them anyway.
There's people in Drogheda that are going to listen to this that are going to absolutely abuse you if you don't meet your goal anyway. So that's always a good source of motivation for this.
Connor, we'll get back to you with your goal and how you're setting up for these next 4 weeks of the training. But I'm going to move clockwise around now to Cliona. Cliona, you are set for the Dublin Marathon this year. Is this your first marathon or have you done marathons before?
This is my first venture into long distance running. I think the longest I ran before this was I did run the line in November. So that's the longest I ran up until now.
That 26, did you 26 or 13K run the line? 26?
Yeah, the 26, yeah.
That is, we've had people in the podcast before talk about trail running. It's like a 10K trail run is almost 3 times as hard as a 10K road race. So that's a good start to have that 26K under your belt so far for that one.
So happy days.
How scary is it to be thinking about taking on a marathon at this stage?
I suppose I've been running a long time and it's kind of always been there, but I've just ignored it. I always knew I didn't want to do a marathon until I was able to give it the time because I wouldn't be happy just finishing. I'd be competitive enough. So for me, I knew I needed to wait until there was a window where I could kind of get the hours in on the road. So hopefully that's now. So I'm excited. But yeah, sure, it's daunting, isn't it? It's a huge start. It's a huge thing to face into, and there's so many different parts to it. So yeah, really excited, but hoping it all goes well.
Does it add to the pressure that you've waited for a time that you're like, oh, but now is there extra pressure on you? Like, I've waited this long to do it. I'm doing it.
Probably because it's funny because I live in a small town. I live in Oughterard in County Galway, and everybody knows me as your one out running all the time. And I think everybody thinks I've ran marathons, and I haven't. And I know sometimes when I meet people and they go, "Oh, have you done a marathon?" And I'm like, "No," and you can see them looking twice at me, going, "She hasn't." So anyway, I will, and I will have at the end of this. And sure, pressure keeps you going, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
At least you're known as the one out running all the time. Connor's in the pub every Wednesday. With his 3 mates. Connor, we're on to you. I'm going to have to go to Drogheda on a Wednesday and have it is. With Cliona, you are very welcome. It's great to have someone who's experienced in running, but even still taking on this first marathon, which is a huge challenge. And there is nothing like it. It is a race in itself, and that's the beauty of it. And we get to see how you go. Any concerns as you go, even with the experience now? I know obviously time on the legs is probably one thing. Any major concerns you have at this stage?
Probably not. I suppose my home situation is kind of what may or may not come against me. So 2 years ago, my husband passed away from pancreatic cancer. He was diagnosed in May and he passed away in March. So I have 3 kids. I've from 17 down to 10. And then last January, in January 24, my 10-year-old was diagnosed with leukemia. So for me, it's trying to get the juggling the time, being on the road and being at home, but really needing the time on the road to keep me sane for home. So for me, running has kind of running is probably the one thing I could control through all of this. I could control when I went for a run. So I suppose that would probably be the biggest fear for me, is that, my daughter as well, she's on maintenance. So hopefully we're coming through we've gone through the hard part of chemotherapy and all that. She's still on chemo, but I suppose for me, it's to just that I can maintain the balance between being present at home and getting the time in on the road. So I suppose that's probably one of the concerns, but I can't control that. So just have to wait, see how it goes.
It's one of them, and you have our sympathy and our support for everything you're going through. And it's great that you're giving this the time. And like so many runners, we're always running for something, from something, and most times just for our own mental space. Like you said, protect the time that we can add in and schedule in over the next 16 weeks. So we definitely wish you all the best over the next little while, Cliona. You're also the one that calls me out on wherever I put up pictures on, so I remember that all the time. So I'm going to call you out on all your lack of training that you don't do over the next 16 weeks. So it's come full circle. But Cliona, you are very welcome to the group. Thanks so much for sharing your story, and we're excited to train with you over the next 16 weeks.
Wow, you
looking forward to it.
Don't hold a grudge at all there. Jeez, don't
No
hold
way.
a grudge at all.
She didn't hold back on me.
Our next guest, Aoife. Aoife, in terms of marathons, the big ones would be the big six, the major, do something like that, and then some might throw Dublin there, and and say the Irish home one as well. But I suppose there's a big seven now. But another big one would be like to run like where the Olympians run, Aoife.
Yeah, I got really lucky last summer, Sean. I got to do the Marathon Portu. So it was the Olympic marathon course on the weekend of the Olympic marathons. So the men's marathon was on Saturday morning. I started my marathon at 10 p.m. that night. And then the women's marathon was the next Sunday morning. So we took in 3 marathons in 24 hours. And it was amazing.
How cool was it? I'm right in saying Paris, wasn't it? Am I right in saying Paris? How was it to run around Paris at night?
It was amazing. It was very warm. It was August 10th into August 11th. There was 20,000 people doing the marathon and 20,000 people doing a 10K. So it was electric. There was huge crowds out, bigger than I've ever experienced. And like the sheer noise, there was parts of the course. The first 10K was overwhelming the senses. And I was nearly glad when we got out of the city a little bit for a bit of quiet and regroup. And we went out as far as Versailles and kind of turned around and came back in another road. So it was amazing. I don't know.
And obviously, after that, the only step up is to come onto the podcast and do Dublin, really, isn't it?
Sure.
But Aoife, you've already done Dublin.
I've done Dublin 3 times. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So the obvious question, how does Dublin compare to Paris? Olympic standard.
Yeah. I mean, Paris was like an experience marathon. So I had my phone, I was taking the selfies. Dublin was all business last year and there was a job to be done. So it was just head down and don't really enjoy it until it's over. But yeah, I run with a group called JNN Coaching in Clonmel. So we just started our marathon block today. We had our first training session today, and it's really about the camaraderie. I don't actually love Dublin Marathon, but I love these 16 weeks leading into Dublin Marathon and all the long runs, the banter, the crack every week at training and on the Saturday morning long runs. So that's what I'm there for. And then you get round the marathon at the end of the day.
Aoife, what is your goal for this one? What are you willing to put a goal on this? Are you willing to say to people what the game is?
I've done 7 marathons and now 2 of them are ultras, so they don't count with, I suppose, this goal, but it's always just been sub 5. And I've done that once. I did that last year in Dublin. So it'd be just the same goal again, sub 5. And I know a lot of people are talking, 3 hours, 4 hours. Like 5 hours is hard. And you have to work hard for 5 hours. But yeah, that's what I'll be aiming for. And I've missed it 4 out of 5 times, but I'm hoping to hit it this year again.
Or 59.59 for Aoife if we are lucky and get there. And let's hope that this time, with the added pressure of this, I suppose, having to come on and talk about 5:01 is going to be very difficult.
I was tickets in the staff room because all of a sudden this has become very real.
No, absolutely. And when a marathon, for anyone who's taken it on, it's always a marathon for someone who's done 7. Even, that's the beauty of a marathon. It's you versus time. It's you versus you over the previous few. And let's hope. And Dublin isn't an easy course. I know you say it's probably not your favorite, but it's a tough one in terms of hills and all of that kind of thing. The training group as well, they will keep you going. Are you going to be training with them? Are you going to be keeping somewhat of a plan with them?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a coach led training group. So we have 2 coaches. So they give us our training plan every month, and we meet every Monday, Wednesday, and for interval sessions and whatnot. And then on Saturdays we kind of organize our own long runs, but they would be given to us by our coaches what we need to do. So it's amazing. Like I did my first marathon on my own with the Hal Higdon app, and then I joined the group, and there has been nothing like it, for the fun.
Yeah, it's definitely better to be running people, but you are very welcome, Aoife. If people are listening and they're in around the Clonmel area, they're in a similar boat, how can they find your club? Is it Wednesday nights in the local bar, or?
Yeah,
I'm joking, Connor. I'll stop this joke now for next week.
Yeah, they can just look for JNN Training Group. They'll see us in the green and black t-shirts. They can just contact the coaches, John and Niall, online, and they're more than welcome. We have 100 people in the group, and it's busy, and there's a place for everyone, from the people beginning their 5Ks to the people running the marathons.
And that's the beauty of it, in a good group where every race has a pace, as they say. So well done. You're very welcome, Aoife. It's absolutely lovely to have you on board, and we wish you the best of luck, and we will all be cheering for you over the next 16 weeks.
Thanks, guys.
I've just never heard a phrase that someone loves the 16 weeks and the last stage is, just trying to get around Dublin. For me, it's the opposite way around. That's the big day to train towards. But moving on to our 4th person. Shane, you got a bit of abuse before we started hitting the record button on this one. Eric, have you moving to your left? And you've got quite a collection of medals behind you. So Eric's expecting some high standards for you in this one.
High standards. Well, yeah, I've done 5 marathons. So I've done Dublin 4 times, and I've ran Vienna Marathon once.
Shane, you've got 40 million medals. I could melt down the medals on that wall and build a building, I think, behind you. And you're telling me it's only 5 marathons?
5 marathons, a couple of half marathons, 10Ks, 5Ks, yeah.
Shane, what brought you into running? Obviously, there's a big love for it. It's in a pride of place at home. So obviously, it's a big part of your life these days. What brings you into running?
Yeah, so I started running when I was 12 with my mum. I started as a couch to 5K with my mum. Then when I was a young fella, I never really took running seriously. So never really minded if I missed a day or two. And done my first half marathon at 16 and done my first marathon at 18. But I was quite naive when I was in running. Like, I done my first marathon and I was like, I sure do 20 mile, maybe once or twice, and we'll see how it goes. And so I went to Dublin and cruising for 20 mile, and oh my God, I got humbled after 20 mile, humbled badly after 20 mile. So I was quite naive. I didn't do my research, didn't do much of that. Then initially, I don't know, after that experience, I came back the next year, ran a small PB, a 2-minute PB. And then the following year, I was like, I better do some work here and go all in. So in 2023, I went from 350 down to 307. So I ran a 43-minute PB in 2023. So then I got hooked ever since.
What did it take to knock that much? Because there's people here probably listening, even myself, going, hold on a minute, that's a lot of time off in a short period of time. What did it take to bring it down for you?
Took a good bit of work, but like, as I said, I wasn't really as committed in the past for the first 2 marathons I done. And I really upped the tempo in training. I started eating properly. I kept away from the pub. Initially, like, I was 20, 21, 22 at the time.
Connor,
that was a
even
big part
slagging
trying to keep away from the pub. So, you know yourself, when you're a young fella, it's hard.
It is true, because at 18, the last thing on my mind, and was the last thing on my mind for another 7 years, was a marathon. So obviously your mom has a big influence in your running. Yeah.
So as I said, we started to couch to 5K when I was 12, and Sligo Running Club, I basically grew up a Sligo Running Club. They're still going today. I'm 24 now, and the club has been going for the last 12 years, and it's had a big impact on me, on my running, and my life.
Sore legs after a long run? Aching muscles holding you back?
Meet your new training partner, Ultra Pure Essential Oil Muscle Rub Roll-On. Fast, effective recovery wherever you are.
Infused with 9 powerful essential oils and arnica, this vegan no-mess roll-on is perfect post-race, post-workout, or just winding down.
Roll this onto tired legs, arms, or back and massage in. Simple, soothing, and effective. Your muscles will thank you.
Made in County Mayo by an award-winning Irish family business, Ultra Pure means quality you can feel and trust.
Find Ultra Pure Essential Oil Muscle Rub Roll-On in pharmacies and health stores nationwide, or shop online on the new Ultra Pure store, ultrapurelabs.ie. By listening to this advert, you are supporting Irish businesses and this podcast. But for now, let's get back to the episode. And will your mum be doing the marathon? Has she done any with you? Do you
My
line
mum
up
has
together?
done five marathons. Yeah, 5 marathons as well. Yeah,
4 in Dublin, 1 in Vienna. Does she just follow you around?
that's more or less I follow her around. Yeah, she makes the
Very good, Shane. But look, again, it's great to see that you're involved in a running club. And again, your goal, obviously, we've looked at you progress from 5Ks, 10Ks, couch to 5Ks to a company that supplies metal for the whole of Sligo. The goal for this one, obviously, it's to PB again. Is it, Shane, or is it to survive?
Yeah, so I done a spring marathon Vienna in April. I ran 3:01. So this time the goal is to go sub 3. So I've had 3 attempts at sub 3 now. So in Dublin 2024, I tried to go sub 3, but unfortunately in race week in Dublin 2024, my granny went into hospice on race week, and I wasn't sure if she was going to make it. So I had to make the decision whether if I was going to go to Dublin or not and race. So I basically asked the doctor, should I go or not? And she said, you're going to have to make the decision to go. Like, we can't tell you if she's going to pass away today, if she's going to pass away during the marathon. So it's a very difficult decision. Did I want to go to Dublin or not? Eventually, I did go. And yeah, my head wasn't there, and I had a very bad day in Dublin, but I came back, and luckily I came back in time and my granny passed away 2 days later. But it was good for me to build my mental strength, and hopefully this year I can break to 3 hours. It'd be more special. And I'm going to do so my granny died in the Northwest Hospice, so I'm going to raise funds for Northwest Hospice while training for Dublin Marathon this year.
Absolutely brilliant. And it's great to have a charity behind you again for the accountability factor that, you know, if people are going to support you for everything, it adds pressure, particularly on a sub 3 goal. Are you going to feel that pressure? Are you happy to accept the pressure? Are you excited for the pressure?
I'm excited, yeah. Like, again, in April, my goal was to go sub 3, and I just fell a minute short. And I was really happy with the 6-minute PB, but obviously it's not what I came for. So I think just more of the same, small tweaks and go again. But I'm really looking forward to Dublin. I think it'd be more special to break it in Dublin for the first time.
You haven't picked an easy course for it, but the absolute best of luck to you, Shane. What we're going to do is just go around one more time, because people listening to the podcast are starting their 16-week journey now, and everyone's got different approaches. And me and Eric have done it every which way, most of them wrong, building towards marathons. Eric doesn't start from another 12 weeks, really, if he was doing Dublin this year. So,
12.
there's quite, yeah, 4 weeks. Connor, coming back to you, and if Eric can mute his mic and not mention you going to the pub again. Connor, what would be your approach?
They're a drinking club with a running problem. That's what I've discovered about Connor.
No comment on that one.
That sounds like my kind of club. I'll be there next week. Connor, what is the plan for the next 4 weeks? And are you thinking about something like a High Rocks already now in terms of getting a bit of that training in, or is it all systems go in the running for Dublin?
For now, it's probably more the High Rock side of things. I'll probably start picking up the running and focus more on the running and more of that strength work for the running. 12 weeks sort of suits me. So yeah, that'll be my objective. 12 weeks in, I'd really shift more to the running, which will obviously help with the High Rocks and then all that sort of strength work. So hopefully stay injury free, you know.
And
Absolutely.
obviously you're backing it up, Connor, with obviously a base foundation of fitness. So it's not just like, I'll only do a 12-week plan. High Rocks, for those who don't know, has a good bit of running involved as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is good. They say 8K, but you're probably running the guts of 9, nearly 10, depending on the course. But yeah.
Connor, you have a 3:30 marathon under your belt as well. So you have sub 3:30. So you're someone who has a couple bit of running for that foundation, as Eric mentioned, about the High Rocks and all the rest. So you know what it's like to build yourself up.
Yeah, so 3:29 in Barcelona, first time doing a marathon. So yeah, hopefully I was going to just sort of go for around that time again, but here on the call, it's sort of contagious. I'm like, all right, I need to set a challenge myself. talking about pressure here.
Yeah, and look, to go at the same time is always a good one if you're soft, Connor. No, I'm only joking with you. I'm only joking. No, it is. It is good. It's nice that obviously, like when people look at marathon plans, people are going to get all sorts of information about training plans. They're going to be told to cross train. They're going to be told to do this. Obviously, High Rocks has an element of endurance. It's an element of strength and conditioning, for want of a better word, because you're using different parts of your cross train and using other elements of the body in terms of endurance. So it is a nice guide, but at some point, as you've correctly said, 12 weeks out, you're going to start more focusing on. In the training plan, having done one marathon, obviously you trained through the winter last year. What's the biggest bit of the training plan that you don't like? Like Aoife loves the 16 weeks, hates the race, which is the inverse to the rest of us. But what is it for you that from your last one, apart from not coming with us, that was probably your biggest regret? But after that, what was the bit you loved or liked the most or disliked the most of training? What scares you about training this time?
Well, the last time around, obviously that winter training was tough. I remember going out long runs, just had to be done. I had the quote on the wall, stick to the plan, not your mood type thing. So going out, running, snow on the gloves, just potentially putting the AirPods in, getting David Goggins in the ears just to keep me going. But
Nice.
this time around, to be honest, it's probably after the marathon is where I'm not looking forward to. I know people talk about like marathon blues or whatever. I seen on like TikTok this isn't a thing. And yeah, after the marathon, I was like, what am I doing with myself? So not looking forward to after the marathon.
Yeah, well, we're doing Barcelona next year, Connor. Still taking sign-ups if you're interested.
On the spot now.
We can get you out there. No pressure. No pressure. It's a sales pitch, Sean. It's a sales pitch. No, Connor, it is. And look, the void after the marathon is the reason me and Sean have come back to the well so many times. And sometimes you're stupid enough to start a podcast. So it is something that leaves something. It gives you so much, but then when it's over, takes so much with it as well, for want of a better word. So it's good that you're coming back, and obviously you have the run club to keep you going and keep you honest. Will anyone in Drogheda be joining you on this journey? Has anyone signed up now that they know you've the pub club with the run problem and you've a goal yourself? Will any in the group start to say, have any others got tickets that are going to come with you on this journey?
Yeah, there's a couple on the hunt for tickets, maybe 3 or 4. But we done the Barcelona Marathon with one of the lads, one of the girls, and I think both of them are looking for Dublin tickets as well. So they've the itch as well.
We're going to become a black market for Dublin Marathon tickets, unbeknownst to ourselves now.
And the Barcelona one.
And the Barcelona one, yeah. Well, that one's good. There's still tickets available, So, you can guarantee a place now, Connor. Tell them. No, it's good, very good, Connor. But look, it's great, and hopefully pushing on that goal. The group being part of a club, I suppose, is great when you have other leaders because they will push you. When you're a leader of a club, it's very easy to go, I'll just stick to what I'm doing. But now you're surrounded by 3 others who are talking about going to beat their best and push themselves. So we understand the pressure of the group now, and hopefully it gives you that little bit extra to push on through this training block.
Yeah, hopefully.
Hearing all different info online, the 16-week build, and we've had multiple different marathons, and you approach it this way with intervals this way, get the long run in, add 10% mileage no more each week. It's a lot to take in for your very first marathon, Cliona. What does your next 4 weeks look like for you?
So I'm sorry, I just have to say this is so weird being on a podcast with the 2 voices that I've listened to for the last year running. It is nuts. It's so funny. Honest to God. It's just weird. Sorry, I just had to say that.
It's so weird coming
anyway,
face to face with someone who abuses you on Instagram messages. And I'm still in a good mood, Cliona.
Okay, sorry, I'll go back now again. Yeah, so I got in touch with a coach in Cork, actually, and I'm not based in Cork. So there's a coach in Cork. His name is Kieran McKeown. He's been around the block coaching for many, many years. And he has, I joined a WhatsApp group, but he added me to his WhatsApp group. And every week he sends me a plan. So I've been working with him since December. I'm kind of like you, Sean. I'm trying to break 20. And I'm getting close, but not there. I don't know if I'm going to get there now.
So you're very like Sean.
Yeah. Sean.
Close, but not there. You're a much better athlete than Sean.
9 seconds, lads. 9 seconds
No, he
is
is
what I am. Yeah, so every week he sends me a WhatsApp, and it kind of like you when you're talking about the Emmett session, the Emmett program you were following, Eric. It's like I don't really look too far ahead. I look at what I have to do today and maybe tomorrow. So I know what I'm doing this week, but I don't know what I'm doing next week because he'll do all that thinking for me, and I love that. I love that I don't have to spend time Googling, because if I go down a rabbit hole, I never come out. And I know I just spend my life searching for the perfect plan and stuff like that. So this comes to me, I don't question it, I do it, and it's working so far. So yeah, he's great, and he's added me to the WhatsApp group. So there's about probably about 60 people in it. So if you have any questions or any queries, you can shoot things up. It's really supportive because I run by myself here. I don't have anybody kind of running at the same times as me or the same kind of paces and stuff like that. So yeah, I'll take company wherever I can get it. So it's through my AirPods.
Can I ask, why do you listen to us? And I mean this in a serious way, but as in you've listened for a long time. I can see from the reactions, and I joke about the forward and back on the Instagram, but you've been around us a long time in through interactions and everything for a while. What brought you to the podcast? Need fuel that keeps up with your pace? Meet Perform's Carb Gel with 30 grams of fast-acting carbs, powered by 3 fuel sources for sustained energy when it matters the most. Packed with cluster dextrin for smooth digestion and a steady release. No spikes, no crashes.
All that in a compact 40 milliliter sachet, tested under Informed Sport, so you know it's clean and competition ready. Whether you're chasing the podium or just in your next PR, Perform Carb Gel gets you there faster, longer, stronger. If you're looking to stock up, you can use the code AGR to get 20% off your order.
By listening to this advert, you are supporting Irish businesses and this Irish podcast. Time to get back to the episode.
So I search in Spotify. I basically searched running. I was leaving Crumlin one day with my daughter. So it's about a 2.5, 3 hour journey, depending on traffic. She puts on her headphones and she goes on her iPad, because when you were traveling up and down as much as we were, you can't talk, and we spend all the time in the hospital room together. So we both need to check out. So basically, I just did a search with Running Ireland, and you guys came up, and I turned you on, and I think I was saying it in the communication with you. I listened, funnily enough, somehow I ended up listening to the one with Caroline, and she's incredible. Like, she was just so inspirational, and I don't mean this in any way disrespectful, just seems like an ordinary person, a mom, kids, great crack, so unassuming, and just so, I don't know, there was just something about that episode, and I was in with that, and I just love the variety of guests that you have, from ex-army rangers to nutritionists to, it's such a wide variety of guests. You never know what you're going to get, and you usually get a run or two out of you. So yeah, I love Mondays. So I save you for Monday.
So when you look at that, when is your long run in the week? Obviously, you're managing a hell of a lot more than others. So in terms of your coaching and the flexibility as a coach maintains with you, I know you don't think about it too much, but in terms of structure, is there any kind of key pieces you're using, even on a coaching plan, that you can say, okay, look, the podcast, or not the podcast, but obviously Sunday is probably a day I might have more, or is that more family time when they're in school? It's a Monday and that's my time.
Sunday morning is the long run. So I get up. I'm lucky my 10-year-old plays Fortnite and has gotten really good at it. So I go running, and she plays Fortnite. And I just pretend I don't know how long she's on the screen, so that works well for us. So she's going to love the long Sunday runs, because she's going to have nobody on her back about being on Fortnite all morning. And then I have 2 teenagers who don't get up, so I'm kind of back before they even know about it. But I had to laugh. Yesterday, Galway played in Croke Park, so I had to set the alarm for 6 o'clock yesterday morning to get the long run in. I had an hour and a half to do, and back again to get everybody ready to get in the car to drive up to Croke Park. So I could have not done it, but then that would be my long run missed. And I don't know, I'm probably a bit obsessive about things. So for me, I just had to get that in, and then went to Croke Park, came back, and it was, back home at 8:30, and wasn't thinking, shit, I should have gone running. So, so it's just, you find the time. And I'm lucky I don't have small kids. My kids are old enough that I can leave for an hour to an hour and a half, or whatever is on the session and whatever's on the plan, that my kids, I can leave them at home. Yeah. So I'm lucky from that point of view, I guess, with their age profile.
Was a little bit disappointing coming home yesterday.
Flat. It was flat. I feel so
Especially-
sorry for those. Oh man, yeah, it was very disappointing. They didn't do themselves the justice they could have done, but Meath were really good. So what can you do? Everybody has their day.
Now Eric claims he's from Meath, not Dublin at this stage of the podcast.
No, I was about to say it's nothing worse than losing to Meath. As a man who grew up, a dub who grew up in Meath, I'm the worst kind. But no, fair play, Cliona, and hopefully we, if you don't mind, we'll touch into more of your coaching and some of the things you're doing along the way for people who are looking at getting coach plans and what it means to be coached when you go through a marathon plan. So we're excited to see what that brings for you over the next couple of weeks.
Great, looking forward to it.
Aoife, you already touched on the run club and stuff like that you're down there, and pretty much that's the plan leading up to marathon. But is there anything different that you are going to try this time that you did previous times, or if it's not broke, don't fix it, that kind of thing? Or how is your approach, particularly the next 4 weeks?
Yeah, I think last year I had a really strong block leading up into Dublin, so I'll just try and replicate that as much as I can. So it'll be the track on Mondays, it'll be Wednesdays we go to Paratown Racecourse, the horse racing course in Clonmel, so it's hill sessions there. I'll try do at least one other run on my own and the long runs on a Saturday. So I'll probably run 4 times. And then I started last week, actually it's one of the girls in our running group is a personal trainer and she does strength classes. So I've started that and I'll probably try and go to her once a week and do something at home myself strength wise once a week. And I mean, if I can fit all that in on top of regular life, I would be absolutely thrilled. One of the big sessions that our coaches introduced last week up to Dublin was for the long runs kind of every second week. We were doing 5K repeats rather than just one long, slow run. So you're doing like 4 times 5K, 5 times 5K, 6 times 5K at marathon pace and taking like 2 break in between. But they really, really stood to us. Like they were tough, but I think that was the make and break of, well, the making of a lot of us last year at Dublin because, you know, there was a lot of PBs in the group and that was something we had adapted last year. So I think I see more of that on the plan for the next few weeks.
Mentally, is it easier to take on a 4x5K as opposed to, 1 hour 45 run? Is it easier to break it down into bite-sized chunks for you? Is it more enjoyable? I know the pace is better and there's a recovery element of it, but is it easier when you break it down into chunks? Do you then carry that into your race?
Yeah, it was good for like logistically, you didn't have to carry water and gels and stuff because you're like going and come back to the car, refuel, go and come back to the car. It was great for the group that people who weren't training for the marathon could hop in and hop out with us. So it made for you could get 12, 15 people, like, and these were the 5-hour group of people because we have faster people in the group as well who were doing it separately. But it just meant more people could get involved and the more people there, the easier it is the miles just pass by. If you take off down the road and you leave Clonmel and you run to Kilsheelan and back around, you might only have 4 or 5 volunteers at that pace, you know, for company. Whereas the 5K repeats, like it's great training wise and it's great social wise. You've a lot of company on it.
It's easier to convince someone to do a 5K while you do 20 than it is to convince someone to go and do 20K. Yeah, absolutely. So it's fantastic in that sense. Aoife, looking at going over 5 hours, I always say someone who does a 5-hour marathon has a harder day than someone who's doing a 3-hour marathon. No offense, Shane, but you're out there for a hell of a lot longer.
Yeah.
How do you manage?
How do I manage?
Because I know what it took to do 5 hours. I've done a 5:03 and it was a long day and mentally I gave up because it was a long day. How do you deal with being out so long, apart from the podcast, obviously, but it's that's obviously everyone's go-to, but we've only an hour episode. But how do you manage that element in terms of managing your own? Because mind games are big in a marathon. How do you maintain the mental strength for a marathon?
I suppose in 5 hours, there's loads of time to fall into the hole and climb your way back out. And you can spend a while in the hole. Yeah, I mean, if you do, I'm a primary school teacher and my working day is 6 hours. And like we have a break and a lunch in that time. So to run for 5 hours with no cup of tea or sandwich is kind of... Yeah, even just like you need more hydration, you need more gels, because you're out there longer, you need, you know... So all those logistics come into play. I don't know, you just do it because I don't know what it's like to do a 3-hour marathon or a 4-hour marathon. So you know, a 5-hour marathon for me is great. What I did notice last year I ran 450 in Dublin, was I saw the gels, like they give out free gels during the course. I hadn't seen them the 2 previous Dublins because I was coming in at 5:20, 5:30. The gels were gone by the time I got there. Going that bit faster was like, oh, like there was a better crowd there. There was more, you know, the fueling stations were still stocked better. Now, Dublin is great. I think you could come into Dublin in 6-7 hours and still have people out cheering. But, you know, it was a different experience. Those, like, I was 26-minute PB last year in Dublin, and that mile a minute made all, or minute a mile, made all the difference to the support of the crowd. And I like to distract myself with other people as well. I ran the Cork half there a few weeks ago, and I felt my training wasn't great coming up to it, so I was just going for the day out. But I started running and things were okay. And instead of thinking about myself, I was focusing on other people. And if I saw somebody kind of with their head down, I'd be like, hey, how are you getting on? And start chatting. And I met a lovely lady, and she was doing her first half, and she was she had no watch, and she was like, how far have we left to go? And she was like, I've only ever done 13K before, and we're at about 9K. And we were chatting away, and she stopped to walk, and I was like, come on. And she was like, oh, I don't know. And I was like, you've done 13K before, so let's get to 13 and then we'll figure it out from there. But that kept me going, because I was like at 11K going, oh, getting a bit tired now. But, you know,
I can't stop. I told her not to stop.
And, you know, I just kind of kept finding other people that I could chat to or talk to and say, come on. And I think when you're encouraging others, you're hearing it yourself. If you're like, come on, we can get up this hill, like you're telling yourself you can get up that hill. So
yeah, and sometimes you can be your heart. Like, I am absolutely horrible to myself when I run. My encouragement can't be repeated on this podcast for the internal thoughts that people have, but like that leader's legs, they call it, when you are leading someone around, and when you are, we talk about the mental aspect being more positive, you feel more positive, you start to believe, and most of us don't realize what we're capable of, the extra 20, 30, 40%, depending on which audiobook you listen to. We are so much more capable if we just treat ourselves a little bit better. I haven't learned that yet, but it's definitely something. But when we get you down to a 3-hour marathon, if it's going to feel like a school day with a lunch and a sandwich and a cup of tea. So we'll have to aim for that one, and obviously, hopefully, we'll PB again. And it's great to hear that different coaching methods are starting to work for you, because it's very individual.
Yeah, it is. My coach was great. My one of my coaches, John, he's in his 60s, and he's a national race walking champion. And he had retired from marathons when he had done number 50 2 years ago, and then he decided he'd come out of retirement to race walk the Dublin Marathon with me and the group of people at our pace group. And he did every training session, every long run with us, and he walked Dublin Marathon and beat me by about 5 or 6.
Well, yeah. Is he coming back this year for round 2?
He's just had a partial knee replacement, so he's going to let that settle. And
just kick him in on the start line, Aoife, and we'll get you around ahead of him this year. I take no prisoners. No, take no prisoners.
Way by any means necessary.
I know. Best to look for his recovery. But look, it's another motivation. And 50 marathons is phenomenal.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, a big shout out to him and a well done to him for keeping everyone going.
Absolutely. Yeah. He got so many people through the marathon training and over the line in that sub 5-hour group last year. It was a real celebration.
Moving on to our final person, Shane, sub 3-hour marathon. What does the first 4 weeks look like? Do you ever stop running to try and get the tempo and the mileage up to get somewhere near sub 3 hour? I don't know. I'm nowhere near. Connor's actually 30 seconds faster than me in Barcelona for a PB. I'm a bit disgusted over that, but Eric gave him too much abuse to say anything. Shane, sub 3 hour, what do you need to do to get there?
Oh, I'm not sure. I haven't run sub 3 yet, so we'll see. Yeah, obviously I done a spring marathon, so I had to take a bit of downtime, but I'm back up to around 90 to 100 kilometers a week now. So I've recently started working with Kevin English, and he's had a really positive impact on me. And he kind of has a very personal approach. He's been with me for some of my sessions on the track, and he's been calling out my splits. And then when you're on your recovery and you're kind of blowing smoke, nearly smiling at you, having a little laugh. Yeah, I really enjoyed working with him. I'm really looking forward to see what I can do with Dublin Marathon with him.
So obviously you've worked with clubs, you've chased your mom around for many years. What's been the secret sauce? And not that I'm asking to give away Kevin's secret sauce, but in terms of you, what's been different this time around that is making you feel like, yes, this is what I've been missing to get to this goal?
I think I've learned a lot from my previous marathons. Every time you do a marathon, I think you learn something new. So it's just about tweaking. Like, for example, in Vienna when I ran 301, I used gel 100s. But this time I'm going to use gel 160s for Dublin. So it's going to give me a lot more carbs. So hopefully I can be a lot stronger in the last 10K. So I kind of faded in the last 10K in Vienna. So hopefully that nutrition aspect can help me. And I think this time it's just really about going to the well and training, seeing what I can really get out of myself in training and just pushing myself as much as I can go on. Obviously be careful and recover, and I don't want any injuries.
Is there something when you were talking to Kevin now with training with him that you're like, had I known that, or had I done this kind of training lead up to it, that you could have maybe broken sub 3 in Vienna?
Not really. It's kind of a mental barrier, breaking 3 hours. Like, you've gotten so close and it's just 1 minute away now. And I think I probably should have broke it in Vienna, to be honest. It just didn't happen on the day. It's more of the same training now. Like, this time I'm going to try and get a lot further under the 3 hours, because for Vienna I was kind of like aiming for the 259, 258. So see now if I can maybe run 255 or so, and guarantee that I'll run under the 3 hours, hopefully.
Just running a straighter line, Shane, you would have got there. If the watch says 42.4, there's your sub 3. So mentally you've done it. But look, it is a mental block. And a lot of people carry, particularly when they put a PB in themselves, like the mental block. I've now different to Aoife. You've had the 5-hour mental block as well. Clena's going to take on her first one. 3.5 hours for Connor now has to become a bare minimum. So there could be a mental block on 320. He might even race you for the 3 hours. We'll see how the next few weeks go. Shane, the last bit I want to talk to you about is in terms of the specificity of the training, particularly when it comes to Dublin. It is... People don't realise, but it is slightly hilly course. There is a good bit of elevation over the course of it. Is that an element that plays a factor into a sub 3 hour?
I suppose so, yeah. Like, when I done Vienna, it's kind of advertised as being a completely flat course. Obviously, Kipchoge broke the 2 hours when he ran in Vienna. Going to Dublin, it is a bit of a difference, but I think I've added some hilly terrain into my runs and done a bit of hill work. So it's just about preparing as best as you can. Like, in Vienna, there was a lot of twists and turns and 180-degree turns. Like, there's different factors. I know it was flat, but there's a lot of different factors that go into a marathon and running a good marathon. Like, you might do everything perfect and it just might not be on the day. It's just about trying to do everything right and hope your cards fall for you on the day.
Absolutely. Well, guys, we're looking forward to keeping up with 4 of you on your journey over the 16 weeks. And it's inspiring for myself now to go, with Connor, trying to get that, he's going to 3:30 and stuff. Shane, inspiration there, E for the run clubs and all the rest, and keep on running. And Cleena, you're probably going to hit sub 20 before me, so I'll put my hands up and admit that one. I don't think it's the cards me this year, but I've got a few 5K races to put up, but it's not about me. It's about you guys. Absolutely brilliant. Listen to the start of your story, and we'll keep catching up with you over the next couple of weeks leading up towards the Dublin Marathon at the end of October.
Yeah, and this is a great one for anyone who is getting involved. You are not alone, like so many have said, and Cleena has mentioned. 16 weeks can seem daunting. It can seem like a long time. You can feel like you're on your own a hell of a lot, and that's the purpose of this, is that you're not alone. There are others with all different goals and every pace and every background that's taken on the same challenge as you. So do stay tuned and keep your own training guide, I suppose, and keep stock, and maybe we'll pick up some tips and tricks that'll just help settle the nerves for this year's Dublin Marathon.
And that's it for this week's episode of the Any Given Runday Podcast. For myself, Connor, Cleena, Aoife, Shane, and Eric. Take care.